I was telling some people here right before where I came up, I said I'm kind of intimidated by this group. The information I have from those that have organized this has been, he has given you superlatives in terms of characterization. So I congratulate you, all of you. And, and after waiting for some time, together with some other people, I was trying to contemplate what I should be saying. They have given me three issues that I'm supposed to talk about, and I will. However, let me introduce our party to you and why people like me, who's not a politician, got into this fray, got into this electoral process. To make that decision was very difficult. I, together with many other people, every time they talk about politics, you immediately have this impulse of rejecting it. Politics, oh no, that's not for me. And I used to have that. On the other hand, I suppose because of the background that I've had, I ran an accounting firm. I'm a CPA and an economist for so long. I could not help but start briefing and giving lectures on economics and how our country should be going all the time, especially after the EDSA 1. And hopefully, whatever lectures I was giving and briefings I was giving to different companies would somehow seep into the leadership for them to consider. I started a group called Save the Nation Movement, and then all focused on economics. And several other organizations that I've founded, Renaissance Philippines, Citizen National Guard, and Solidarity for Sovereignty. All focused on economics and sovereignty issues. And then came last year. Last year was a surprise, not so pleasant surprise for us to see that all of a sudden these politicians started looking, because of in anticipation, they looked for individuals who were very popular. And they gravitated towards them and started moving for their candidacy. And as we watched this was kind of stomach-turning for us. And our members were just disgusted to see these traditional politicians moving and trying to get into position so that they will become whatever. And there was a clamor for us to participate in the electoral process. They said, let's stop becoming observers and just yakking our heads off about how things should be. Instead of just watching as part of the gallery, let's get into the ring and start fighting for our country and for our people. This idea hit me. And being the head of the different organizations, we said, yeah, I think it's just about time. Because if we don't do it now, my feeling was things are going to go back the way it was before. And that was a very scary thought. we couldn't see any, for the first time in a long, how many decades, all of a sudden we have a president. We have a president with balls. I did not, when I was watching him campaign, I did not see in him a person who wanted to become president. He was kissing women, cursing, and then warning everybody that you better increase the number of cemeteries because I'm going to kill a lot of people. While he was campaigning, I said, this guy doesn't want to be president. He says, I'm going to kill all the drug pushers, drug lords, and so on and so forth, and criminals in your communities. They better be aware. I'm going to kill them. I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for anybody at that time. But of course, what happened? It was a phenomenon that he became president. I'm sure up to now you see this. But our mistake was, my mistake was, I looked at him from my eyes, not from the eyes of the massa. Something was happening in a sector of our society that we did not know was going on. Those people who saw in him not a killer, they saw in him a redeemer. And what was he saying? He was selling an idea. He was not selling himself. Because himself, you don't want to buy. You don't want to vote for him. But he sold an idea that for the first time, I have somebody who's going to save my life, my children, in this God-forsaken area, from these lords. You know, the drug pushers are the little drug lords in those barangays. Teenagers holding guns, taking charge of the growth of your children. This was what was happening. And immediately all of us were shocked. He has not yet been inaugurated as the next president. 300,000 surrender, fearing that this man might kill them. So the parents pushed their children to surrender. It was an idea. That was kind of inspiring. So coming to this election, I said, let us follow the phenomenon that had happened at the time. Let us follow that push for an idea. Let us trust the people that if we have an idea that will help improve their lives, that will bring them up to a level of quality of life that they have been longing for, if we can articulate to them these things that we have been saying, and they catch on, I said, we might just get them to vote for us. Duterte's idea, personally, was kind of crude. But it had reaped very positive things. I am of the opinion, for example, that his action against the United States at the time when he cursed them and he told them, we are no longer your colony. When he cursed them, it was a mayor from the province cursing these Americans. But he inspired many people. He inspired me. And because of that move that he did, America reacted and said, we will not give you aid. That opened up tremendous opportunities for us. Okay, I will go to China, I'll go to Russia. And of course, you know now the story, that the situation had changed. The whole plan of encirclement by the United States of China and the encirclement of the United States on Russia had changed. Now we're talking peace. Whereas at that time, before Duterte, we were talking about war. We were talking about the devastation that the world was going to face as we annihilate mankind. But now we're talking peace. On the basis of what? He just told those Americans, putang ina nyo. Hindi nyo na kami alipin. By that single act, he created a statement. Now, after that, going back to us, we said, let us come up with ideas. Ideas that might be difficult, a little bit more than what was presented by this administration. But let us trust them, because somehow I feel that the level of understanding and values of the Filipino had jumped 2 or 3 levels higher. That was the phenomenon. Because why? Because they knew a change was possible. They felt it. They felt that through Duterte, there was the possibility of change. And so while he is still here, while they are in that level of excitement and hope, I said, let us intervene and add on to what this administration had started. That, ladies and gentlemen, it was the plan of the Katipunan ng Demokratikong Pilipino. We came up with a platform of government on economics, on education, on foreign policy, on agriculture, and social welfare. That became our platform. We did not venture into other peripheral issues because these were the fundamental issues of what a nation should be. A nation is not defined by whether it agrees with gay marriage or not, divorce or not, or whether you agree with the criminal age of responsibility being brought down. These are peripheral issues. These are actually consequences of how a society is being influenced. But the basic issue is economics, agriculture, education, foreign policy, and social welfare. Social welfare is very important. Because social welfare means, to our mind, we have to address the forgotten Filipino. And the forgotten Filipino, to our mind, is the sacred Filipino family. Anything that destroys that, anything, any program, any process, any idea that destroys the stability of the most basic unit of our nation, no. We have to go against that. What destroys it? Drugs, of course. Crime, of course. Corrupt politicians, of course. And then, let me finish, thank you. Let me finish. And then we say, what about economics? Economics, a very vital issue. If your economics means to export your people to become OFWs, doesn't that destroy the stability of the family? So what do? You have to look for a way so that you do not have to do that. This is where we're coming from. Okay, thank you for your question. What about the 3 questions? Okay. Are there any adjustments President Duterte should make in his war on drugs? Yes. The adjustments should be the realization that the war on drugs cannot be won here alone. President Duterte, to my mind, has to initiate a convention, a summit, an international summit of countries wherein all leaders of countries will be committed to fighting and creating this war on drugs. War on drugs. Drugs destroys society, destroys every member of society in every country. China has gone to war against the British on this long before. And there are many areas, many instances where we can see this destruction. It is worse, to my mind, than terrorism, because it is much more insidious. It creeps into your society and into your families. And once you have a drug addict or a drug pusher in your family, it becomes a major problem. So, an international summit, preferably initiated by the President, to call the ASEAN first, and then the ASEAN to call for an international summit on drugs. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Butch Valdes. Great job. All right. Okay, so we want this to be more of a town hall kind of thing because we've been asking very few questions from the audience. Jesus and I will just ask one question each, and then we'll pass it on to you guys, okay?
We'll make it quick on our part.
You want to go first?
Yeah.
Please.
Sir Butch, so you mentioned about an international summit about drugs. President Duterte can call for it. My question is, I think most other critics of the war on drugs would say there's already a consensus by the United Nations that the war on drugs is ineffective. So do we really need to have a summit, or does President Duterte just need to get those evidence or consensus from the international?
I would still go for the summit because all of these things, whether it's United Nations or what, the fact of the matter is there is a big and international drug problem. And the one who is actually pushing against war on drugs is a guy named George Soros. He is the biggest drug dealer in the world. No? And for a fact of the matter is this. We're producing here in the Philippines, we're producing more drugs than we can consume. And much more drugs than we can consume. We only have 4 million users. But on the basis of the statistics, the drugs that we produce can cover up to 10 million users. We don't have that many users. Where does it go? So others say, of course, it is exported. But you don't export this volume of drugs just using little packages. No? You export them in volume. You have to, because it's just too much. When you export, it is inevitable that you make use of an institution called the banking institution. And if the banking institution...
Called the what, sorry?
Beg pardon?
Banking.
Banking institution. When a banking institution is involved, then therefore there are some people there in that industry that are agreeable to fudge documents so that you can export the commodity. When you export, you wait for remittances. When you wait for remittances, you get paid in foreign exchange. Foreign exchange coming into the country cannot escape the attention of the central bank. And when that happens, either the central bank looks the other way, because it's very easy to check whether we're actually exporting the so-called commodity or not. And the other way of bringing it in is to create corporations outside and then bring it in through the stock market. And you launder the money that way, many different ways. No? So
right.
Look at it. You look at it in this way. If you can think that it can happen, that means it's happening.
Thank you, Mr. Valdes. I'm sorry to try to interrupt. To
No,
remind
no.
you about our questions. It's just we as citizens posed some questions to you.
Yes.
And I think were all hoping you would answer some of them.
Yeah, I didn't know how much time I had. I'm sorry as well.
Because you're running for our representative in the legislature.
Yes.
And we as citizens need to know your platform for
Yes.
how you will represent us. You say that President Duterte impressed you because he has the balls. But what I'm wondering is, will you have the balls to serve as a check and balance to the executive, even even though you do support him clearly, and be a good soldier not for the president, but to be a good soldier for us citizens, even we who dissent and oppose, because your party has consistently sought to vilify as seditionists. We who critique, dissent, and oppose, which I'm sure you agree is an essential part of any healthy, functioning democracy, especially ours, which is so terribly broken and is really more of a dictatorship of dynasties than it is a healthy democracy. So can you tell us more about your platform, sir?
Yes, that's what I was trying to bring out earlier about my platforms, just that we'd run out of time. But the thing is, I'm sorry if I gave the impression that we are Duterte, how do you say it? Dutertards, right? That's the way people say it. We're not. I don't even know the guy. We've never been sponsored, or even any of us got to talk to the president, or even his close-in relatives, or even his cabinet. We put up the party on the highest ideals. We said our party must be a party of principle and not of convenience. Our party must be a party of ideas and not personalities. And no one of us ever took steps towards trying to get Duterte's attention. Having said that doesn't mean that I do not agree with some of the results of what he is doing. How he does it is his own way. How he does it might not be very popular, But the results of what he does is good for the whole country. That's the way I see it. Second, agreeing with President on this, on certain areas, does that mean we'd agree with him all the way? We have many reservations about the members of his cabinet. I have been critical, especially of these economic advisors. I have called them publicly as econoquacks. And I've told them almost in front of them that they are fooling the president. We did that with Jokno. We did that with Pernia. Now, do we have the balls to go against the president if he does something wrong? We've already done that. We've already said that his trained law, the one that he because of his trust and faith in his economic advisors, he signed into law. We have already said it's going to increase prices. And that's what had happened. We've already also said that his cabinet members are protecting the oligarchy, most especially on the electricity, cost of electricity. As you know, we're paying the highest electricity rates in the world. We're paying 24 US cents per kilowatt hour. Second to us is Italy at 23 US cents per kilowatt hour. The US pays only 12 US cents per kilowatt hour. One half of us, where the ordinary citizen in the US receives a salary 30 times higher than that of the ordinary Filipino. That's onerous and immoral. And we're calling on him to declare a state of emergency, to suspend the EPIRA law, and grant a 50% discount on all electricity consumers. To start with. Why? Because this act of privatizing public utilities is killing our population. The public utilities must first benefit the public, not the private sector. And we have to make a move towards that. And if the president is not going to do it, we will knock on his doors in every which way we can, no? For him to get these public utilities back into government ownership. It can be run professionally, but government must own it because the government is mandated to protect us, not the interests of these oligarchies.